Welcome to the Sun River Anglers Fly Tying Corner for this month. We're going to tie a balanced cinnamon leech. This is a pattern I frequently use out on some of our local lakes, particularly as summer approaches and the fish go deeper. I'll fish it under an indicator, or I might strip it back in short strips, but it's a really effective pattern for a lot of our local lakes. For the materials list on this fly, we're going to use a Leech 4660 size 10, 6/0 tobacco brown thread. We're going to use a 7/64 copper bead and a sewing pin. For a tail, we've got cinnamon marabou and UV crystal flash. For the body, I'm going to use a dubbing blend of Euro Seal in olive, brown, rust, and Canadian leech, proportioned approximately 25% each. So let's get started on this pattern. We're going to tie on the thread and cover the shank of the hook with a layer of thread back to about the point. We'll begin by using a sewing pin, and I'm going to put this sewing pin through a bead with the head of the pin on the larger side of the bead and the smaller side of the bead back toward the hook shank. I don't need the whole pin, so I'm going to clip off the excess with a pair of wire cutters. Bring my thread back up toward the head of the hook, and we'll place this bead approximately twice the length of the bead itself, or maybe just a touch more. What we're searching for is a balanced fly, and we get that by extending that bead just a little bit ahead of that hook eye, and I'll show you that in a moment. I'm going to build up some thread right at the bead itself so it doesn't move on the hook. From here, I'm going to use marabou, and I've got a rust marabou that I'm going to tie. It's a J. Fairs Eagle Fly Fishing marabou that's really got some super sweet feathers to work with. I have taken a clump of barbs off of a feather, and I'm going to measure them about one shank length as the length of the tail. And I'll clip the butts and we'll tie them on right at the head of this fly. I'll cross over and down the shank of the hook all the way to the tail set position. And I'll clip off, or I'll pinch off a little long section there. I don't like to cut them. I prefer to just break them off so they look a little more natural when you're tying. From here, I'm going to take my crystal flash, my UV crystal flash, and I'm going to pull out about 3 or 4 fibers. And tie these on the near side of the hook first, and I'll wind that back to the tail set position. And then I'll reach in and pull the remaining on the far side and tie those in. And I'll clip them off just about the length of the tail. So we've got a slight amount of flash in the tail, but not a huge amount of flash in the tail. And I can stroke that tail back and get it to set nicely. From here, I'm going to begin dubbing this fly. And you'll see a dubbing mixture here that I like to use. Let's show you how that dubbing mixture is created. So I've got a regular coffee grinder, a blade coffee grinder, and I'm going to take my 4 colors of Euro Seal, and I'm going to go ahead and put those in the coffee grinder and begin to blend them. I've got rusty orange, brown, mottled Canadian leech, and dark olive. When I take each of these and put them together, I'm trying to reach for a color blend that gets me close to something I used to be able to buy as mohair yarn, a Canadian blood leech. It's reddish, rustish, black, olives, and all kinds of different colors in nature that typically a leech might be colored along weed beds and in different structure. It's been a really, really good color for a long, long time in a lot of different waters. So I'll take approximately 25% of each type of dubbing, and I'm going to put it in my coffee blender. Put top on, and we'll just turn it on and let the coffee blender do its thing. I didn't quite get the color I was looking for, so I'm going to add a little bit more rusty orange. And we'll blend that up. I can reach in and grab all these dubbing fibers, and you can see the mix that comes from this dubbing blender. I encourage you not to use this for grinding coffee after you've blended, or you might have hairy coffee. In any event, that's a quick little exercise in blending dubbing. So let me take some of this dubbing mixture, and I'm going to grab a very loose group of dubbing, and I'm just going to pinch on a little bit onto the end of the flyer back toward the tail set, and I'm going to bunch this dubbing very loosely around the thread, and I'm going to grab the very tail end of it and spin it. From here, I'm going to hold on to the very end of that dubbing mixture, and I'm going to begin spinning it or tying it onto the fly. If I didn't quite have enough, I can add some more. Grab just another very loose bunch of dubbing, and then I can grab the tail end of it and I can spin it. And by spinning it loosely like this, I leave all of the fibers kind of sticking out, which is what I want for a leech. And I'll tie that right up to the head position. Now we've got a little bit of work still to do. I'm going to go ahead and whip finish this fly, and I've pre-glued the threads. Since I'm working right around the head, I just put some glue on the thread and perform a whip finish right at the head of this fly. And pull that up, pinch it tight, and clip it with my scissors. So now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to reach in and I'm going to grab any of the loose fibers and pull them out, separate them. As I was tying this, some of those got captured and tied into the fly. And so I will pull those out, and then I'm going to gently stroke these fibers backward and just get them to lay back on the fly. A leech swims with an undulating, pulsating motion, and this loose mohair-like or Euroseal will perform that in the water. As I'm stripping or as I'm pulling, it will pulsate along with the marabou, giving that wavy swimming motion that a leech would perform. Okay, well, I said I would demonstrate the balanced nature of this leech pattern. And so what I've done is I've taken a short piece of monofilament and I'm going to thread this through the eye of the hook. And then we'll release this from the vise and hang it upside down so you can see how this balanced leech, when it's tied onto your tippet, will look or will hang in the water. As you can see, it's horizontal. It's not just hanging from a normal eye where it would be hanging vertical. It floats in the water in a horizontal fashion, and with ripples on a lake surface, it's gonna lift and drop and lift and drop, and that will imitate a leech's swimming motion. A really great pattern. So that's your Sunriver Anglers fly tying corner for this month, featuring a balanced cinnamon leech. Give it a try, I think you'll like it.